Hi, and welcome back to 30 Days Retro Day 19. We're going to play with my favorite medium of all time, and that is fun foam. As well, I'm going to use my own doodles as my inspiration. If you really want to have authenticity in your art, if you really want it to be a personal experience, then use your own work as your inspiration. And I'll throw something else at you there too, which is um, if you want to find your style, if you're one of those artists who is still kind of wondering, do you have your style? Is this your style? Are you there yet? First off, you never 100% have a style and you're done. All knowledge is about growth, change, and even artists who have been painting for 50 years still their style still changes and evolves over time. If you look at their like current, maybe for the last 5 years, you might say that's their style. But if you then juxtapose that with something they made 20 years prior to that, and at the time 20 years ago, that was their style. So your style changes and evolves along with you and life and your personality. But if you want to kind of start honing in on who you are as an artist, and what your art needs to look like or be, then basically start using your own ideas as fodder for new ideas. And it's kind of like planting seeds in a garden and then watering those seeds and, pruning and weeding and giving them food. And eventually you either harvest whether it's beautiful flowers or, yummy, delicious, healthy food. Either way, growing your garden is like a work of art. And it's also very much like feeding that well of creativity within you. And the best way to feed that is to work in your garden and imagine that your doodles and your sketchbook, though, that is kind of your garden. Those are your little seeds that you're planting. So the best way to get to that, even if you don't draw a lot, even if you don't doodle a lot, the best way to get there is to grab a pen or a pencil and some paper and go draw. Draw from nature, draw from your environment, draw from the things in your home that you've collected that you don't necessarily always know why, but you love to look at. So if that is a piece of sculpture, if that is some ironwork, if that is um, or some memorabilia from a parent or a grandparent's life, whatever it is, the things that you surround yourself with are the things that you love. So doodle with those. Try just to draw different things, even if it's not a perfect drawing or a completed or accomplished drawing. That doesn't mean you can't find inspiration from it later. So all of the fun foam stamps that I'm going to do here are all based on things I was drawing when I was not really conscious of what I was drawing. So whether I was watching a movie, listening to an audiobook, sitting in my car, stuck at an event that I wasn't enthused about, whatever it was, when I was busy doodling, whether I was, present and conscious of what I was doodling, or whether I was doodling just kind of on a subconscious level while my brain was engaged in doing something other than that. These are the things that I will be drawn back to again and again. So these are the things I'm going to draw from in order to build my own personal style. You'll see that rose that I just finished. That is the basis, the beginning of the rose that ended up being, or the one that I'm working on right now, that ended up being the Gulf Sprite rose, which is now my logo and, pretty iconic image that most people think of me when they see. And that came from a doodle that I did in my doodle sheets here. Probably, I think those sheets were done back in 2010. So you think about it, in 2010 I made a doodle. I kept going back and playing with the concept and the idea of it, and here we are now in 2015, and it's the logo and icon for my business. That's what I mean when I say that your creativity and your personal style comes from within you, and the only way you're going to get there, the only way you're going to have that satisfaction of knowing that you're what you create is authentic to you, that it's personal to you, is if you keep going back to that well, and playing with your own images. So I highly recommend you try this. If you're an accomplished journaler, you should have doodles already that you can go back to. If you are new then by all means use exactly the same ones I'm using here. I'm totally okay with that. And if you're somewhere in between, then maybe you do somewhere in between. Otherwise, there's not a lot that's new or surprising or different. You know, back at the time that I made this, I was the only person doing this with Fun Foam. Now, of course, everyone is, working with Fun Foam. So at this point, it's not fresh necessarily, but maybe the way in which I'm using them is a little bit fresh because I'm actually using my doodles to kind of create a scene, which you're going to see eventually. But I highly recommend you give this a try. It's a lot of fun, and I actually still have these fun foam doodle stamps, just so you know. They last a really long time. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you with the next day.